challenging week. Cool, thanks, Leanne. So before we start the meeting, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land in which we gather here today. So I'm in Brisbane, which is Turrbal, Yuggera and Jaggera people. Would anybody else like to extend acknowledgement to any traditional custodians of where they're at?
I'd like to acknowledge the Gubbi Gubbi people.
Cool, thank you, Laura. Anybody else? Oh, okay, thank you. So I'd like to pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. So thank you everybody for joining today, and just as I was saying as people were coming in, I recognise this has been an incredibly challenging week for everybody, and I do want to reiterate my thanks and on behalf of the board, their thanks for the incredible work you've done this week. I think it's been another phenomenal response from the Arafmi family, whether you've been in office, at home or out working with people. I think we've done a phenomenal job again, so thank you very much for that. We'll try and keep this brief because there's not a massive amount of updates, and we're still holding off for Sunday to see whether lockdown is going to be extended. But we did want to just have a quick touch base of this meeting. I'm going to go over the disaster relief payments briefly, and then I'm going to hand over to Laura for just reconfirming service delivery. Karen will touch base again around EAP, and Glenn will touch base around any rostering needs, and Alex will just go over just a reminder of the carer supports that we've got available. But we'll try and keep it relatively short, and once we finish that, we'll open up to questions. And if anybody did miss it on Wednesday, I don't know if you know that we did a really cool story time on Wednesday. We didn't video it, but if anybody wants another shot, I'm going to do one next week, so we'll make sure that you've got that booked in. Okay, so the disaster relief payments, Leanne, are you able to put the email that was sent up on the share screen? The one with the disaster payment with the hyperlink. So Leanne's just getting that up on the screen, but from tomorrow at 8 AM it might be. So from tomorrow at 8 AM, anybody who's lost 20 hours or more will be eligible for a $750 a week payment. Anybody who's lost between 8 hours and 20 hours will be eligible for a $450 payment. And we've sent an email to all staff just to let you know the application process. And I was listening to the general manager of services on the radio earlier on. For those of you who are young, the radio was something that old people listened to before the internet. But I was listening to it, and they said, please don't apply before 8 AM tomorrow, because they're going to be inundated with payments and they won't get to it any sooner. So there's basically no point on you logging on until then. So we've got it up on the screen there. So there's basically you need to register with MyGov if you haven't already, and then it's a very simple process from there. If you haven't registered with MyGov before, you will need some ID that you don't need to scan it in and send it to them, but you will need that to put in the correct information. And when you get into the link, there's just a couple of super simple questions that they'll ask you, and they'll ask about the loss of hours. Now, your loss of hours should be what we've removed from your regular pattern of shifts. So if you've made yourself unavailable or you've been unwell or things like that, that's not what they're talking about. They're talking about business loss of hours, but that will be detailed in the application. They did say on the radio that in the application you'll need to give the business details and the ABN. So Leanne sent that out this afternoon to you, so you will all have an email with the information that you need. If you get to the application and you're not sure about what to do, and I'm absolutely sure nobody's going to do this anyway, but please don't call on call. We'll deal with it on Monday, and we might have one dedicated person. In fact, and we'll send out who the dedicated person is on Monday. We do have payroll on Monday, so we want to just make it clear that it'll be one person only, and we'll send that information out to you on Monday if there are problems. So please don't contact us over the weekend for this particular bit. We'll get to it Monday, and there's plenty of time to apply for it. So if everybody can see that on the email, it's the COVID disaster payment. So that's if you've lost any hours, and I think the minimal hours loss is the 8 hours, but it can be over or 20. But the application process, I'll go through that. with you. So on Monday morning, we'll send you out an email with who to contact if there's been any problems with that. But again, don't phone on call unless it's for emergency purposes. I might pause for breath here and see if anybody's got any questions on that before I hand over to Laura. Could you give us a wave or a thumbs if anybody's got anything they want to ask about that? No, we're all good. Perfect. So let us know if you need any help with that bit on Monday. Karen, I'll talk to you offline about who's the best person to do that in terms of evidence that people might need or support. But we haven't seen the application process yet, so we'll wait until it's open and then we'll have a look at it. Cool. Okay, thank you for that. I'm going to hand over to Laura, our Ops Manager of NDIS Services, and she's going to talk through just again where we're at the moment in terms of service delivery whilst we're waiting on more information about lockdown. Are you okay to take over now, Laura?
Yeah, thanks. So just a bit of an update. Not much has changed for us since we spoke on Monday. So currently we're just providing essential services. Now, an essential service could mean helping them to access essential goods and services, but also if we recognise someone that's particularly vulnerable and at risk if they are experiencing isolation. So if you do have any questions about what the purpose of your shift is, definitely get in touch with your CCC to discuss that. And if there's any time that you're uncomfortable with what is being asked of you while you are on shift, also get in touch with your CCC or your regional manager, and they can support you through that. So we've had a few instances of that over the past week, so we're happy to support you through that. So again, we need to make sure everyone is keeping with the masking rules. So that's obviously just our stance, but also the government directive at the moment. If you are running short on masks, there are some available at some of the hubs, but with not many people working in the offices, that does pose a challenge. So if you are required to purchase masks to get you through, we can reimburse you for that cost within reason. So keep that in mind if you have had to purchase any masks over the last week. If you are transporting clients in your car, make sure they're in the back seat. And if you have to transport someone to get a COVID test, please just alert us so we know. But I think it's best that you keep the windows down while you are transporting people. We're waiting to see what the announcement is on Monday to see what we can do with the services that we are providing. But we do hope that we will be able to gradually reintroduce some of the shifts that people would generally receive throughout the week. But I think we'll have more of an update on that on Monday for those that are receiving community access supports, but also for those that are coming in for short-term accommodation. Is there any questions that anyone has around any of those topics? Yes?
If I can add something, just to reminder, and I know you're all doing it really well, but a reminder to make sure you're doing your COVID checklist with clients before they start the shift, and make sure you record it in brevity as well, just so that we can get a gauge of it. It just helps us protect you that if there are any issues that we're aware of it before you're going out on shift. So make sure you record that. I think Laura and I, the management team, we had quite a discussion about what essential services are, and you will see some change next week. I think when we have a snap lockdown of a few days, we can afford to be very, very strict on what that looks like. But the more, if the lockdown becomes ongoing, there is more risk of clients exacerbating mental health and conditions are becoming at risk if we don't provide regular contact. So what you have seen this week in terms of the extreme cutting of services might not be the same next week, because the longer people go without contact and engagement, it could potentially lead to harm. So just a rationale in terms of, if you go, well, why was that one cancelled this week and not next week? It's because we've done a risk assessment on the person's capacity over a longer period. Again, if you're not sure about that, touch base with your line manager to have a chat with them, and we'll talk you through the rationale of that. Cool.
Has anyone else got any questions, or if there was anything that's unclear that I haven't covered or we haven't covered earlier in the week? So like I said, not much has changed since we had this meeting on Monday. So we'll wait to see what happens for next week. So yeah, watch this space and we'll keep you updated with what further actions we'll take if needed. Thanks, Mary. I'll throw it back to you.
Oh, good. Karen, are you okay just to talk again about the EAP and any supports that people might need? Thank you.
So just a reminder to everybody that we do have EAP available, Employee Assistance Program. Leanne has, or our marketing team sent out an email today about all the different supports that are on offer at the moment, and I really would encourage you all to have a look at that. So you've already seen the information about the COVID disaster payment. We've also got the link there to the pandemic leave payment if you are required to isolate for 14 days. And then also we've got some information regarding should you be experiencing domestic violence, just some things that you can do. And also we've got the EAP details in that email as well. So our organisation that we use is Amavita, and the service they provide is completely confidential. It's accessible 24/7, and the contact details are all attached in that particular email. Thanks, Zareen.
Cool, thanks, Karen. And just to remind people that I know we're providing essential services to vulnerable people, but we can be vulnerable ourselves. Normally when these things happen, I know our team, we kind of go into crisis mode and we've got a lot of adrenaline running and we do things and it's almost become second nature. But this morning I woke up and I had a bit of a wobble and a bit of a cry and went, oh, this is a bit overwhelming. And I was able to reach out to people and talk to them about it and then get myself reset. So I think it's really important to recognise that your mental health and your own well-being is just as important as the clients, and just to take time to take care of yourself. And if you do need some support from us, please do it. So, cool, thank you. All right, Glenn, can I hand over to you in terms of anything that you need from rostering? You've got your wonderful rostering on call over the weekend, so this is the second weekend that we're doing this. Can you just let the team know about anything that you might need from them or anything that you can help with before we hand over to Alex?
Yeah, no worries. So second week of rostering on call. So if over the weekend at all you're not able to make a shift, just give us a call. I sent an email out earlier. It's myself that's on call this weekend. So yeah, if you can't make a shift, just give us a call. So that is just for shifts you can't attend over the weekend. Other than that, just give us a call during our normal business hours, which are 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday to Friday. You can contact us, and just on the weekends, it will just be the designated person for on call. Other than that, I just wanted to thank everybody for being so flexible throughout the lockdown and the change of shifts that we have had. Big thank you to everyone that helped out in picking up alternate duties. We did have a number of staff that were working as support workers working from home, doing welfare check phone calls to our clients that did have cancelled shifts. That was a big help to them. So if that is something that you'd possibly be interested in moving forward, let your CCC know, because we can definitely make some time there moving forward for you all. And yeah, just sort of watch your roster for next week. We've pretty much sorted the beginning of next week, but depending on what happens with lockdowns being extended, etc., there might be some brief changes to your roster. So just double check that. If you do think that there's anything missing from your roster or not quite right, just give us a call. Don't just rock up to anyone's house with their shift not being on your roster. Either give a CCC or a rostering team member a call first, just to verify that. And also just to help us out when it comes closer to payroll time. If you are on a shift that's about to run late, give us a call and let us know so we can adjust the times rather than you signing out late. And same goes for if you're running late for a shift, people run late, things happen. It's all good. Just give us a call and let us know you're running late so we can let your client know and also adjust your start time. It just makes it a little bit cleaner and easier when it comes to payroll without it being exceptions all over the place. Cool. Did anyone have any questions for me? Please know.
How do you manage to look so fabulous this late on a Friday afternoon?
It's yeah.
Good clean living and genetics. Yeah, I can
cool.
tell.
Yeah.
Yep. No, thanks, Glenn, and a big shout out to your team for, I think having a relatively new rostering team in general, but then having quite a significant pandemic response. I think you're well and truly fully established in the organisation now, and I'm really admirable of the way you're working so closely with all of the teams to make sure we're getting good outcomes. So lots of people don't see the back end stuff, like working with the finance team, all of those things to make sure all of the internal stuff gets sorted. So I'm really pleased to see the way we've all started working together so positively. Cool. Alex, are you okay to just talk through carer support and what's going on there?
Sure. Just want to say it's business as usual being there and supporting the carers. So we've still got the 24-hour support line for carers. I wanted to thank Glenn and his team who've been helping out with that, and also the houses in the evenings too. Wednesday next week was going to be a public holiday, but because it's not a public holiday, we'll still be having staff during the day covering that phone line. And we've got all of our face-to-face supports for the next fortnight. We've changed to online, and I want to thank marketing, which is Leanne and Jen, for helping us to update things and make sure that'll be on the website and the links there too. Yeah, so like the supports are still there, but it's just really reaching out to carers individually. We're going through the whole database and just making contact with carers to check that they're okay, and if there's anything else that they want, any supports at the moment. So appreciate everyone working together. And I just want to give a shout out to finance, working quietly in the background there, doing great work with the auditors, and you're not forgotten. I can see your little faces there. You're not forgotten. Thank you. You're very calm. We appreciate it. Okay.
You stole my thunder there, Alex, and I want to reiterate that we have our financial audit this week, and for most people in service delivery, you never get to hear about that at all, but it's an incredibly significant part of an organisation's process and making sure we're doing things properly. And most people, it's a phenomenal piece of work. And we're down to 3 people in the finance team, and I know that I had a message from Yvonne at about 9 o'clock a couple of nights ago, just tidying up. Pidgey's been absolutely phenomenal, and I think Hassan's here as well. You've been working your backsides off, and it's been we're very grateful for it. And I know you're now going into the payroll period, which doesn't give you any respite or time off. So I hope you're getting some time off over the weekend so that you can be refreshed, and we'll start again on Monday. But phenomenal piece of work. So can I just get everybody to give a bit of a clap or a wave to the finance team, because they've been absolutely wonderful. Cool, thank you for that, and thanks for the reminder, Alex. And just to remind you all, with the carer supports, you are going to be working with people that have parents, carers, family members, partners, loved ones. Just keep the carer support team at the front of your mind when you are working with people, because if we are cancelling services, or even when we're engaging with them in particular ways, we do provide supports. It's all funded under Queensland Health, so we're not trying to get any money out of it. The service is already there. It's in people's best interests to use it if they can, and we want to be able to expand our reach. So just keep the carer team in mind when you are talking to clients, just reminding them that it's there. Okay, I'll open up. Is there any questions today before we go? If there is another lockdown on Sunday, and we're not taking bets on that at the moment, but if there is, we will have a Q&A on Monday, just to keep people informed. And I'm really appreciative of you turning up, but we will put them on YouTube as well, and you'll get the link to that in case you can't. But I do really welcome your presence in these. So we will have another one on Monday if there is another lockdown. But does anybody have any questions from today or moving into the weekend? Hang on, Mary, you didn't, but now do. So Mary, is there something that you want to open up a question to?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I didn't have one, but somebody just mentioned the public holiday, and I thought I'd just pick up on that.
Yep.
So I just wanted to, sorry, can I ask that now? Is that
Yeah,
okay?
of course you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask, given that Wednesday was going to be a public holiday, those clients that would normally receive support on Wednesday, is it assumed that they will just continue, or will we be contacting them to say, do you want it or don't you want it? How's it working? Sorry.
Glenn, do you want to answer that? Or yeah, okay. I'm minding my station and trying to remember that there's other people, so I'll hand that one over to Glenn. Thanks, Marianne.
So because it did only affect a couple of areas, we have been working through with clients to see if they are wanting to have their services back on Wednesday. Some clients decided to move their shifts to a day that was not a public holiday, and they've chosen to keep it on the new day for that week. So it's the same shift, just different day. There are other clients that we're just waiting to see if lockdown's extended or not before we put the shift back in. We would hate to call them to say, hey, we're coming on Wednesday, to then call them back again to say, no, now we're not. So Monday at the latest, you'll see a change to your roster for Wednesday. I hope that helps.
Perfect.
Yeah, cool.
Thank you.
Cool. And I think given like there's different payments under NDIS for public holidays, so of course we'll let clients know in terms of implication of cost, because some people choose not to have them on public holidays because there's an additional fee attached, etc. So we'll just manage that sensibly. Cool. Any other questions? So I've got one from Liz here. What do we do if a client refuses to have a COVID test despite our best interests, whether it's possible exposure or alternatively have symptoms? I think if clients do have symptoms and they're not willing to go for a test, touch base with your line manager and we'll risk manage that. There's probably a way that we can support somebody too, but if we do have to, if we are able to, with regards to risk, we would look at withdrawing supports or making sure that employees are kept safe. But there's normally a way around resolving that, and again it will be individual basis. But the question from Liz is, what do we do if a client refuses to have a COVID test despite our best interests, and whether it's because it's a possible exposure site or whether or not it's having symptoms. If it is an exposure site, people are legally required to follow public health directions, and I think we can give them that information. But I think we would work through that on a case-by-case basis. Laura, do you want to add anything to that around how we might manage that?
No, I think that's spot on. But like I said before, if you have any concerns about your risk in that space, anytime that you're on shift, get in touch with your line manager and they'll support you through that, because like Irene said, the circumstances can be different with each client. So that's, I think, where you'll get the best support to navigate that.
Cool, thanks, Laura. And I'm sorry that sometimes in these Q&As we give very generic answers to things, but it's because each individual is different and it might be a different way of handling it depending on, like 300 odd clients, it could be 300 odd different ways of managing it. And I think it's important that we don't give false information in a wider setting, but we'll look at that on a case-by-case basis. Cool. And Liz is saying Kelly was awesome today. Kelly's awesome every day. She's done a phenomenal job as well. I think the whole team's been incredible at the moment. Like I'm really proud of you all, and I know it sounds cheesy, but I'm really, really humbled by the incredible work that you do every day. And this is tough times, and you're bringing it together. It's wonderful. Thank you. Any other questions before I send you off on your weekend? Just have a look. No, nothing. Okay, well, can I encourage you all to look, for those of you who are working, thank you. Stay safe and let us know if there's anything that you need. Danielle, sorry, so we just got a late one. You're late on and you missed the Centrelink payment. There's an email come out about that this afternoon, Danielle. So if you jump on your emails, there's the link to the payment if you've lost ours. I won't go over it all again in detail, but the emails come out. All I'd say is that when you go on to if you're eligible and you go on to apply and you need some information from Arafmi, could you wait till Monday and give us a phone, and we'll send out information about who to contact, because there might be some stuff you need from us, but it'd be super supportive of you all if you don't spam payroll or your managers. We'll work out a single response to that and get that information out to you. And Leanne's just shared the link on it in the chat function, if you can all see that. So that's the link to the payments. Thanks, Leanne.
Thank you, Leanne.
And thanks for coming in, Danielle. Sometimes it's hard to join in with things. Sometimes when you're late or people go, oh, I'm late, I won't bother. But I'm really grateful that you turned up. So thank you for that. Cool.
No worries. Thank you.
All right, everybody, have a safe weekend. Take care of yourselves and your family a choice and your loved ones. Let me know if there's anything you need, but hopefully we won't need anything until Monday. We will, whatever happens on Sunday with the lockdown, we will respond and send something out, but we've shifted everything to Monday and Tuesday anyway, so nothing will change on Monday for you, regardless of what the lockdown is from a work perspective. I appreciate it might change from you from a family perspective and how you're going to juggle things, especially if you've got family at home that you can't remove yourself from, or you've got kids and you're doing homeschooling. So we can help you work through that next week, but we'll work out some strategies on Sunday if lockdown is extended. I'm fingers crossed that it's not, but not. We'll see how that goes, but I think we're all doing a good job at trying to keep each other safe. So, all right, thanks everybody, take care, and we'll talk to you on Monday. See ya.